Greetings YouTube, Skill Incarnate back with another edition of my Indie Showcase series. A series where we look at games that are from small indie developers that you may want to keep an eye out for. Now these games aren't very well known, but a lot of them are very clever and innovative as only indie games can be. The first one in the set is called Winter, and this game takes a lot of inspiration from the Kingdom series, particularly Kingdom New Lands. It gives you a bit of a Norse sort of theme. We play the role of one of the characters of Norse mythology trying to stop Fimbulwinter, the Ragnarok of the Viking Age. Our goal is to raise an army to challenge the forces of evil and hopefully forge a kingdom for mankind. Now, I'm going to be honest, this game is a little bit, it feels to me to be unfinished. And I know that indie games by default don't have the level of polish you would expect from AAA games, but I think this one needs a little bit more cooking. Now, the reason why I say that is because this game at the moment, at least for me, doesn't seem to be possible to finish. After a few days, I seem to die every time. Now, I'm a big fan of the Kingdom series, so I'm not a newcomer to these games. I've gone through the tutorial, I've studied this game at length, and at the moment I think that there is some missing functionality. The goal is to raise an army, and the problem at the moment is that the generation of money is very, very slow. Far too slow for you to be able to build a kingdom that can last anything more than a couple of days. Now you can earn money, as we're earning here, but from the experience I've had so far, you have a very small range of things that you can do. You can train some basic warriors by dropping them some gold, but beyond creating a farm, building a mine, and just basically running around the map, there's not really a lot to do here yet. Now I can see what they're trying to go for, and I think this is a very good start. And I think that this game probably is an example of one that probably needs a bit more time in the oven before I could heartily recommend it. I haven't found any major bugs, so my recommendation would be to keep an eye on this. I may return to it once the game has had a little bit more development done. I think, again, this game was given to me before it even hit the Steam store, so I understand that it's very, very early access. But I wanted to show you this because I think the pixel art style, while a little bit rough, was quite pretty and unique. So we're going to move on to the next game, and hopefully I'll return to this game when it's had a little bit more time in the oven. For the next game in the lineup, we have Planet Crafter. Planet Crafter is a survival game set on the Red Planet. Now this game is a little bit more casual than the titles I usually play. There are no aliens or zombies trying to kill you. In fact, the only real objective of the game is to survive and to terraform the planet ready for human habitation. Now there's a very small set of buildings you can make, the rudimentary crafting system, and the beginnings or a skeleton of a game, but it feels more like a tech demo than an actual game at the moment. That being said, I do see a lot of promise here, but the asking price of $30 is a little bit steep for a game that is at the moment, I would call a tech demo. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the developer can do with this, but at the moment I would recommend you keep an eye on this. I think a little bit more time in the oven, much like the other games that I've reviewed, and this game is definitely one that I could recommend. But for now, it needs more time, it needs more attention, and it definitely needs a lot more content, because the game does feel a little bit empty at the moment. The world largely doesn't have anything in it, and resources just kind of lying around. It would be nice if there was a mining mechanic or some way to get resources that was a little bit more involved. There's only a few metrics you need to worry about. You've got oxygen, you've got your thirst and your health, and you can see there's these three different metrics we have to get as high as possible. When high enough, the terraformation will complete and the game is ended. So this does take a while. I haven't managed to terraform the planet. You can see already we're starting to build some plants. I've got oxygen through plants. I've got some heat machines keeping me from freezing to death. solar panel setup. So there's a few different buildings at the moment, but not a hell of a lot. So keep an eye on this. I will definitely return to this game. Out of all of the games, I think this is the one with the most promise, but I think it needs, again, a little bit more time. Keep an eye on this, add it to your wish list if you're a fan of survival games like me, but otherwise I think this game probably needs a little bit more time before I could recommend it. On to the next game. And as always, I've saved the best game till last. Chromosome Evil is a zombie survival game with a Lovecraftian twist. You play the role of a group of soldiers, perhaps the last ones alive, as you try to rescue some of your friends who have been trapped in an infested city. The world has been overrun by the undead, along with horrible Lovecraftian monsters that are destroying the human race. It's up to you to determine how you're going to spend your last hours on the earth. Will you try and do some good and rescue who you can, or will you just simply try to get yourself out alive? The game has some very deep crafting mechanics. It also has some very nasty decisions you're going to have to make. You've got some light tower defense elements like being able to barricade and build, and you've got a group of soldiers that you'll have to manage along with their morale and scarce ammunition and supplies. You'll have to go between various areas in the city, scavenging what you need, things like ammo, food and fuel for your APC, as you try to make a desperate attempt to rescue your friends. This game kind of came out of nowhere. I hadn't heard of it, and I was very surprised when I played this, very pleasantly surprised, with a game that has surprisingly deep mechanics for a simple survival game. Don't be fooled by this simplistic graphics. There's a lot of depth here, and in a game that I recommend everyone who enjoys survival games or squad-based games should try out. This is my clear winner out of all of the indie games today. I recommend you check this one out, as it has something for everybody. A very nice indie game, a nice survival game that has a surprising level of detail, and a very, very unforgiving difficulty. So hopefully this gave you a bit of an idea on what games you want to try. Hopefully you've got a few games to try out. Hopefully you'll let me know what ones you enjoyed, and maybe you'll join me next time when we look at some more indie games. Until then, Skill Incarnate, out.